Welcome back to On the Horizon podcast, hosted by Jessie Sage and Melrose Michaels. First, thank you so much for becoming a premium subscriber and supporting our podcast. This is getting you extra exclusive, unheard, and unseen footage from each interview that we have on the horizon.
Lola Davina is the author of the Thriving in Sex Work series. Her latest book is Thriving in Sex Work, and Money, a personal finance guide for sex workers. She has spent almost 30 years in and around the sex industry, working as a stripper, dominatrix, porn actress, and escort for over 15 years.
So I wanted to talk about negotiating value, how you go about doing that, and obviously we have a short amount of time here. I will say that I do talk quite a bit about negotiating value in my book, in my latest book, Sex, Work, and Money, because I think it's really important. And, the two big takeaways I would, drop on you today is, one is, there's a huge amount of work that people are doing on sex work Twitter. God bless sex work Twitter for as long as it lasts, where people are having conversation about the hidden labor in sex work and why we charge what we charge. Right. I'm using the royal we, but why sex workers charge what they charge. So it is excellent to be having that conversation out in public. I do worry that mostly other sex workers are the ones who are reading it, and the clientele, customers, fans, and all that somehow think that none of this conversation really applies to them, but maybe some of it sinks in. But so part of what I think is a practice that you could do when you're thinking about your own business is explaining to your customers why you charge what you charge. Now, I wouldn't turn that into a spiel that you rattle off on the phone or whatever. It might be just something that you put up on your website, just say, or maybe you don't post it at all. Maybe this is just something you only need for yourself. But just in terms of educating your clientele, the people that you want to interact with, this is why I charge what I charge. This is what this money means to me. This is what I have to do in order to earn it. This is the amount of time I work not getting paid. And just signaling that out there, like I say, like on a website or something like that, I think helps educate the public and is just kind of a statement of purpose or a statement of intent for you, right? The second thing I wanted to offer was the idea of working with scripts, practice being assertive and practicing having scripts. And I think the best way to do that, because I'll certainly know from my own experience, I often don't think of the smartest things to say when I'm flustered. I know when I was working as a sex worker, I would often be really hurt or angry or defeated in the moment. And I wouldn't know what to say. So I would just say something shitty, or if I really needed the money, I would just kind of suck it up and deal. One way to work with these shitty experiences, the shitty exchanges that we have, turn them into growth experiences. Write them down. When that time when that dude said blah 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 blah. What I said, you can write out what I said or you didn't say. Next time I would say, this is what I would say in this set of circumstances, right? And actually writing it out and having that script. It doesn't mean in the moment, the next time something shitty comes around, you're going to have the perfect thing to say. You probably won't, but it is this way of just building up this resilience and building up this notion of I didn't think of the right thing to say until a day and a half later. Fuck. Okay. Well, I'm going to write it down now, and I will remember next time, this is how I respond to somebody who says, well, because you're, fill in the blank, you shouldn't be charging that.
Yeah.
For the listeners, I'm doing a double fuck you to the world, but it's but
it's actually been that's so interesting that you say that, because I have a app on my phone that is called Sideline if other sex workers want it, where it just looks like people are texting me, but it's to a totally different number. And on there, because it's a business text apparatus, you can do like preset texts, like text
Scripted,
responses, like the first one, and like all these scripts that you can just like shortcut to do things. And so how do you respond to "you available"? How do you respond to like, "hey baby"? How do you respond to like all this stuff? And another guest we had, Laura Savage, runs a class. And I took her class, and in her class, she said, to avoid burnout, like you release like some of that like energy that you spend being mad about this stuff, because it's not like worth your time and energy, and it's not making you any money, and just give them your like pre-written responses, if like not in person, but like when that stuff comes over email and when
so
that
you're
stuff
not
comes over
energy.
Yeah. And I've actually found that like doing that very consciously, like not getting pissed off when people send me, because you could spend, if you're working in sex work, you could spend all your time mad that people don't write in full sentences, that people won't give you enough information that you need to actually do a booking, that like you have to like draw information out, that like they're playing mind games. Like there's so many annoying things that people do that you could like
shortcut
spiral all the time about it, but it doesn't help you at all to do that. So I've actually found that like kind of detaching from any emotional response,
the interaction
to those things, and instead just being like, here's the script.
And you can do that. You
can
even
respond
on like
to it or not
on
like,
your phone. You can set like iPhone scripts, like even in like my messaging on content platforms, like they're going to ask for what my menu is for and how much everything costs. If I shortcut menu, it's going to autofill what it is, and I can just send it to them, like stuff like that. It's so easy to kind of like put a system in place to help you facilitate what your work is, and that's super helpful. I think
just so you don't even have to like
think about it.
I just want to piggyback on that just really fast and just say there is a sort of elevated plane that you start working at when you really set out to say, I am not going to let this job get under my skin, right? I'm not going to let every bullshit encounter tire me up. And I'm going to figure out, like you say, I'm going to figure out life hacks to get around it. And I'm also going to just really focus on the fact that this is somebody else's bullshit. It does not belong to me.
Right.
This is
it doesn't even have anything to do with you.
Nothing. They're treating I mean, as we know, again, from sex work Twitter, they're treating everybody this way. I mean, all this shitty stuff, goes around and around and around. But also it's just like, this is somebody else's pain. This is somebody else's need. This is somebody else's insecurity. This is somebody else's feeling of scarcity. I don't need to take that on to myself.
Right.
This is, they're working that shit out on me.
Right.
The only other thought that I came in with, I guess it's just to circle back to something we were talking about a little bit before, which is, when we put stuff out, because I see this a lot on sex work Twitter, where people will put garbage exchanges up on Twitter, right? Some shitty, here's the sex worker who's trying to be reasonable and trying to, run a business and do something nice to turn somebody on today, and then you're getting like just jerkazoid garbage on the other side. I certainly understand the catharsis of putting that out there and having other fellow sex workers, like, what, and fuck that person, and, like blah, 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 and it's wonderful to get that affirmed that, like if you're looking at this text exchange, this garbage, the reaction should be hoots and jeers, and that, we should, and not lose sight of that.
Yeah.
But what I do think could be more constructive, or one of the ways that, so there's the discharging of energy, which is useful. But I do wonder if, these could also be teachable moments among sex workers to say, well, what's the script here? What would be the other, this might be a person that you want to deal with, block that person. But is there also room for like a constructive exchange for how to deal with these conversations, or what to do after you've had a really shitty exchange like that? I mean, this is not a profound observation that social media is often used just to generate outrage, where I think there could also be this chance for also to be a time for collective knowledge and brainstorming on better ways to deal with things. So anyway, I was just going to throw that out. That was another thought that I had to bring to this discussion.
That's a genius approach, because it's a missed opportunity, and it never even crossed my mind. Like, from Sex Work CEO that powers this podcast for On the Horizon, like, we put out educational, courses and assets and everything for free, but to try to get sex workers to, hone their craft. But like, that's something even from that account that would be useful. Like, oh, I saw this exchange in my timeline. What is a script we could have used to combat this? Like, that's so smart. And it never would have occurred.
Because these things fall in, they're like tropes, and there's patterns to them. And so, like, I don't know, like most women like me who are heavier, like, it's like, I love you. You're the hottest thing that ever existed. I want to do this. I want, like, to give you this, like, well, no, like, this isn't going to work like that. That's not what I'm offering. Or that's like what, well, you're like a fat bitch and like, you don't like, you're like, wait,
I'm sorry.
What happened?
Yep.
Yeah. And
I was just really hot like 10 seconds ago. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
But I mean,
no. Yeah. And then people who say no are fat bitches, but people who don't are really hot. I don't know. But, so the only reason I bring that up is to say that, like, we kind of know after doing this job for a while, like, where certain exchanges are going to go, because they follow their own scripts, you know? So how could we, like, collectively kind of harness that knowledge that we have and be like, what should we do to make this a better space for everyone? All of us?
Yeah. It's a great idea.
Well, I'm a firm believer in scripts, because you're never going to remember it perfectly in the moment, but it is that thing of just knowing that you have in the back pocket something that you have your clear intention that you want to say.
Right. Yeah. And even if you don't remember it verbatim, after encountering that situation, which is going to be a pattern, it is going to happen, it is going to come up, depending how long you've been in your space, like, it is going to come to mind, like, oh, I know what to say. I know what to say. I've been here. Yeah. We've done this. We've done this dance. Yeah. No, totally. That's amazing.
The Incredible Edible Akynos founded the Black Sex Worker Collective in 2018 in New York City. She is an international burlesque performer with 15 years of traveling the world entertaining audiences. She has a Master's of Fine Arts from Goddard College. Her current work involves dialogue on racism incorporated with food. She's a misandrist and a self-proclaimed stone cold bitch. Her pronouns are bitch, whore, sex worker, and king, among others. I feel like, I'm not a performer, but I'm a writer. And that's the same sort of thing in writing is like people just want to have their stuff published. So a lot of people will do it for like really low rates. Yeah. And it was when I was like escorting and doing like sex work that I was like, wait, no, like it's going to take me 2 days to write this piece. Right. Like why would I do this for like a really low amount of money when it's taking away from my other business? Right. And so like having another business that was like, that it was relatively easy compared to like performing or writing or creative stuff, to make money in made it easier to like leverage that.
I wonder
writing.
What makes like the I guess conversation around like escorting less like room for negotiation versus something else, because you'd think that all of those things, those conversations would be similar and like, this is what my rate is, this is what I'm doing, this is what the exchange is. But I wonder what makes escorting different. I guess is it maybe the expectation that the client is coming in, like, I know what I'm here for, I know what this rate is, right? Maybe they're just pre-qualified that way.
Yeah, kind of. I think that's what it is, Okay. But I feel like you're right. It's really, how I try to approach it now, I really try to approach everything like I'm dealing with an escort client. And that makes things a lot more easier because like, they can go ahead, like there is competition everywhere. They can go ahead, they can get everyone and anything else, but they're not going to get me, Yeah. They might get somebody as good as me or somebody kind of like me, but they're not going to get me. They're not going to get what I bring. And so I try to like look at it like that. And just, like, I just also feel like if this person doesn't choose me as their provider or the artist that is in their show or whatever the work is, it wasn't meant for me to have it. I don't want to because I've done enough times in escorting, in performing, in a lot of sectors of my life where I've like accepted a lower rate, and it's never, ever, ever paid off.
Yeah.
Never paid off. So it really, for me, is not worth it in the end. Like, I don't need the $50 that a lot of burlesque gigs pay that badly.
Yeah.
I think too, like that's the other part that when you approach things from a business perspective, that's hard to talk to younger or newer sex workers about, because they really want the bag. And I feel like you gotta know that every client or every person you're dealing with or everything you're selling, sometimes like your rate is what qualifies them to be worth being your client or not, or being your fan or not, or subscription. You know, it weeds out the people who are going to constantly ask for things for free or constantly push your limits. When I'm talking to sex workers, especially in the digital space, people that do online sex work, or the creators more, so to speak, there's always this, back and forth struggle about what I'm charging and what I'm worth versus what the market thinks I'm worth. So like, I think that I wonder how you navigate that, because like if I set my price for like content, for example, and I know I'm not selling it, then that tells me the market says I'm not worth this. But then I know the value and the money spent and how much effort went into something. So I know that this is worth this because of what it cost me to produce it. Do you have that back and forth ever? Or do you adjust what you feel your value is in a marketplace? Or does one not affect the other?
Yeah, I used to actually do that, especially when I was like living in Brooklyn and not living in the best neighborhood. And, people would get upset with me at the rates that I charge, but I'm like, look, this is where I am. I'm also Black. I'm also this, I'm short. I'm like all of these things. And I have to put that into consideration in order to be able to make some money. So that definitely absolutely makes sense. Now, I'm still short. I'm still Black. I still don't live in the best neighborhood. I'm still charging you $500 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. And if you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's what the hell it's going to be,
Yeah.
And, if I lower it, I'll probably lower it with some terms and conditions, but I'm just like, no. But there is something to knowing like what the market value is. And you can go ahead and try to charge up and see how it works, and it might work because they're just like, what makes you so special for charging that? And there's a lot, I'm sure, that makes us special when we charge more than what everyone else is. But just like bring that to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's I think really important, because as a sex worker, like, I know I get asked a lot to go in and give like talks at universities or like participate in people's research studies or like the panels. And like, they like a lot of these, especially if these institutions have any prestige, like seem to think that like the prestige is meaningful to us in a way that like, it's not. If you're outside of the system, like I don't have a CV that I need like a line on that says that I gave a talk at Harvard. Like
my client's not going to pay me more for my Harvard.
What do I care? Like,
Exactly.
And so I think that like sex workers are really, really important, like in like the organizing work and in all of the like policy and organizing work that's going on. But like,
if you don't talk at a university, I had to do this with Harvard. They need to they got to pay me up front. All the paperwork got to be done up front. I need my money by the time I get there. Otherwise, guess what? I'm not talking at your goddamn school. Like I don't want it that bad.
Yeah.
They will take months to pay you.
Yeah. I find that a lot with consulting too, because I get asked to consult internally for a lot of like sex work companies. But then when I tell them like, okay, well, my rate is this, and like, well, why is it so expensive? Like, because that's what I would make online somewhere else doing what I do. So you're going to take that hour from me. This is what it's worth. Yeah. So, and I find that usually after that, either they come on board or they don't. But as soon as I think a big part of it is asking, like, this is what my rate is, or this is what I'm worth, or this is what you're costing me, what I could make somewhere else. And like just bringing that to the forefront of people's mind, because they don't understand it, or they don't want to understand it or comprehend it.
Or like, I think a lot of it is that there's these like closed systems and they're like caught up in like, oh, this is meaningful to me here, that, I don't know.
You get to do this.
That you get to do this, where we're like, I don't care about this. Like, it doesn't help me in my career path. Like, my career path is something totally different on a totally different plane.
Yeah.
So,
but isn't it weird that they come to sex workers and think that they can like not pay us? It's like our whole entire industry is about us getting paid. But again, that's whorephobia. That's misogyny, you know, like playing out. It's just like, why should I give this gold digging bitch, this bitch that's using her sexuality to make any money? Like, it's like this weird dynamic where they just, I don't know why they think of all the people on the earth to come to, they think they cannot pay hoes.
Yeah, but it's like it's stigma though, I think. Like, or like, I'm better than those clients, and you're like, no, you're not better. You're worse. You're trying to pick my brain for nothing.
For free. You're trying to get my energy for free, and my clients pay. So you got to just treat everybody like a client, and I feel like that makes it easier.
Last but not least, Allie Eve Knox is a content creator, fetish performer, artist, and crypto cutie.
We were talking to somebody else about this recently for the show, that like there's this like hierarchy of needs. Like, you start with like, I just got to get myself out of this like debt, or I just have to like pay, I just need to pay like my rent or my mortgage for this month, to like, I want something better. Like, I don't want to just survive. I want to like actually thrive, to like, I want nice things too.
Yeah.
And this you know, this world gives you that opportunity to do that. If I worked extra in, you know, retail or in the university or wherever I was working at the time, like, I could get a little bit of overtime maybe, but like, my efforts weren't going to pay off. Here, if I work every single day and I make a ton of content, and, you know, I know that this is going to work. It changes, and I have to do things that are different, but I know that my effort is going to equal my income.
Yeah, it's interesting that you also were in grad school before that, because I almost feel like the attitude toward money in sex work and in like academia are like diametrically opposed. Absolutely. And that like part of what I had to do when I transitioned like out of academia into sex work is kind of get over my own like embarrassment about wanting to be paid for things. Like, that's almost kind of beaten out of you. Like, oh no, if you were like really scholarly, you would just like want to give away all of your labor, or like, you don't really like love what you're doing if you want to get paid for it. And that's actually a hard thing to deprogram from yourself.
What a scam. Oh man.
What a scam. And there's a certain like level of shame that you kind of feel when you start to ask for things. And I think that transitioned for me into fetish work, where I didn't start to ask. Like, I never asked for things. I will demand something, or I will suggest something, but I'm never going to be like, can you buy me this? Or can you get me that? I guess I just didn't want to feel that disappointment. So I started to change my narrative to like, well, I really like this, or I like when this happens. And people just you kind of have to train your audience also. And it just kind of worked. And luckily I found the men that was their kink. You know, and so it just kind of, I'm very lucky and thankful that way.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear you say that, like, you don't ask, you like demand. Like, how did you start doing that? And did that feel very different to you?
Yeah, it definitely felt different, because I've always been self-sufficient. So even when I was married, like, I still had all my own things. I never had joint things like that. That's never been a problem. So I've never gone and said, would you buy me this thing? Or would you get me this thing? Or I want this thing. So that personally for me was fucking weird. And so I didn't want to do that in my fetish work. I wanted it to be more like, you know, I really love Gucci and I love YSL. And if someone would buy me those shoes that I really love, that would make me very happy, as opposed to saying, can somebody please buy me this? I really want this, or taking that bratty route. And it works for some people. It's just for my trajectory and my career plan. It wasn't really, and my character or my personality, it wasn't even that. So I just got to the point where I was like, if I'm going to provide these services for these men, then they need to compensate me. And they need to compensate me in the way that I feel that I have been valued. So if I'm providing these long-term trainings, or if I'm, you know, helping them rehaul their finances, the least they could do is buy me something that I really want. You know, because these are like life-changing things.
Yeah. What's your feeling about like gifts versus cash?
I mean, gifts are great, but you can't pay the light bill with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice to have a really cool closet and, you could flip that stuff on eBay or whatever, but it's a whole hassle. Cash is what's going to pay our bills or our mortgages or feed our kids or, whatever. So like, but it's also like, puts you on the Fed list.
Yeah. Yeah. We hope you enjoyed this bonus footage from this episode of On the Horizon, and we look forward to having you tune in next time.